So good afternoon. My name is Ala McCoy. I am Director of Startup Support at University of Maryland's UM Ventures. And I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you who joined us today for the next installment in Startup Fundamentals Workshop Series, both our live webinar audience and those watching the recorded version on our Startup UMD YouTube channel. This workshop series is offered by UM Ventures and Maryland Technology Enterprise Institute. Everyone in the live session, please feel free to submit your questions using the Q&A function. This session is recorded. We will be posting it on our Startup UMD YouTube channel. So if you would like to remain anonymous, you can click the Submit My Question Anonymously button. And you heard Harry, please ask questions. So today I'm pleased to welcome Harry Geller, a serial entrepreneur who built 14 multi-million-dollar businesses. 4 of them were on the Inc. 500 list. And now he mentors the next generation of founders as entrepreneur in residence at UM Ventures College Park. So today, Harry will teach a practical workshop on how to launch and grow a product-based venture using today's e-commerce platforms and very powerful AI tools. And Harry does this workshop for us probably every year. With an update. Things develop so fast, and this year he has a lot of new information about AI tools and how to take advantage of them. So thank you so much, Harry, and the floor is yours.
Well, welcome everyone. And yeah, I originally did this, I believe, in 2019, so that was before COVID, and we can certainly see how the world has changed since then, but I constantly update this because literally every week there's something new. So I've added a bunch of AI components into this, but a lot of the internet tools, even though they've been around for a while, are still extremely relevant and helpful for you to launch your e-commerce startup. So the other thing is, if anyone, there's a lot of information to digest here. So if anyone wants a copy of this presentation, feel free to ask Ala, she'll send it to you. So a little bit about me, we don't really need a whole lot, but I've been at this a while. I've had a lot of experience in starting businesses, starting restaurants, food services, product-based businesses, logistics and supply chain. So there's a lot of steps in creating an e-commerce business. I've listed some of the key ones here in no particular order, but pretty much everything here you guys can do in a few hours, even up to one day. So I added in using an AI tool. I use Grok, but Chat or Claude or Copilot, any of them, any of the AI agents are all good. So I asked Grok to outline all the steps required to establish, for example, a high-end cosmetics business, and it spit out I just sort of took the highlights of the categories, but it spit out about 10 or 12 categories with very detailed ideas in there. So, you know, using AI, even just to start a business creation, you could even use AI to say, I want to start a business, but I'm not sure what, you know, give me some ideas. It's very helpful. It's not perfectly detailed, but it's a very good start, you know, or a foundation to launch something. These are additional steps, and these might take a little longer. You know, getting a trademark name could take a couple. You could get a placeholder immediately, but it takes a couple days for it to get approved. So things like this, you know, can be done in a couple days just with a little bit of work on either the websites or using AI. Again, I put a lot of AI prompts in just to give you guys some ideas. So here I said, how will we do a market testing protocol for a business that sells high quality, inexpensive women's handbags? I said, keep in mind, as a startup, cost control is essential. And, again, it spit out about 30 paragraphs, but I just sort of combined it to a couple ideas here to give people ways to get started. So it went along the assumption that you have a minimal viable product, and it, again, got pretty detailed. So it was a good prompt, to get an idea how to get started. So, using AI tools for business creation definitely automates the routine tasks. It's very efficient, reduces the operational costs, and gives you a lot of data-driven insights. And, once you do a prompt, then you can start digging in, looking for other things. And again, these are some of Copilot, Gemini, Chat, Grok. These are, some of the AI agents you can use. So thinking about why e-commerce, and again, I have to update these statistics every year, and they do nothing but grow. But almost 3 billion digital buyers around the world. A minority, but a high minority of the world's population buys online, particularly in the United States. The global e-commerce sales over $6 trillion. When Al and I first did this in 2018, when she went over it, I think the number was 2.9 trillion. So it's doubled in the last 6 years. In the US, 2/3 of the United States are mobile shoppers. Men like to mobile shop, myself included. I don't think I've been to a store in 4 years. And millennials and Gen Xers lead the e-commerce boom. And, smartphones is really the way a lot of people shop for retail. So, all good things to consider. The trend, again, e-commerce really is mobile. It's important to prioritize and optimize, your mobile design if you're doing a site. And AI search now is the fastest growing trend. An example of an AI search prompt for just a consumer in the market for a stylish backpack that will hold a laptop. My budget is less than $100. Please list some e-commerce websites that sell these. So, again, if that was your consumer product, this would be an example of a prompt that people would be interested in doing. So again, there was probably 20 more sites that spit out. I just kind of consolidated them all. But just from a personal use, it's a good way to shop too if you're not quite sure what you want or where you want to spend it. It's a good way to use a prompt, and people are doing it all the time. Again, more e-commerce trends. I don't know people here, but I do a lot of Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok shopping. I get a lot of ideas from them, and then maybe I go right to the website, or maybe I buy right off of them. But that is a trend that's just, continuing. That's the new shopping malls, are the social media. And again, personalization, you want to tailor the past consumer behavior. People want more personalized experiences. It's very easy to do now, using website tools. There. Also, voice search optimization, again, something I use quite a bit. You can pretty much just either ask your AI agent or your search engine what you're looking for, activates the voice function. Used it this morning to find a car part I needed. Came right up. So again, voice search equals seamless shopping. And another trend that's becoming more popular is what I believe Ala came up with, this re-commerce. So the diminishing stigma of secondhand goods. Consumers are open to purchasing secondhand goods. Some of the Poshmark, Shop Goodwill, RealReal, there's tons of them, electronic websites, everything. So, secondhand goods is also a e-commerce trend that you should consider. So looking at initial steps, the first step is coming up with a prototype, or, what is your idea that you can develop in a lab or other. Example of an AI prompt. Please list prototyping sources located in the mid-Atlantic region of the US. I'm trying to create a children's sippy cup out of organic materials. So you can be pretty granular and AI will sift it out. And again, this was about an eight or 10 paragraph response. Listed 11 regional companies, 4 or 5 located in the Baltimore, Washington area, and also listed a bunch of maker spaces and fab labs, not even including what we have at University of Maryland. 5 regional companies were listed. So again, if you don't know where to start, this would be a good place to get some names down, and then you'll have to start doing a little research from there. Again, secondly, market validation. Who's your customer? What are you solving? Does your product solve these problems? What are key features? And, most importantly, are people willing to pay for the product? So you always want to ask, if you're asking people what they think of your idea, you always want to end it with, is this something you would pay for? That's always good feedback. Then, test your assumptions. What's your value proposition? If you're doing something someone else has done, are you bigger? Are you better? Are you faster? Are you cheaper? Usually you have to be one of those. It doesn't mean your idea won't work. It just means you have to sort of fit in one of those categories. And then, from there, you scale the version, what we call version 1.0, and it could be a crude product at the time, but you want to get something out into the marketplace and, ask people, is this something, that would be, you would buy as a sellable product. So again, these are the basic quick scaling steps. We have legal, sales and production, and marketing. Specifically, all the companies listed on the right, Stripe, GoDaddy, Brex, are all companies I've used in the past. They're pretty user-friendly. They're pretty easy. If you incorporate.com or GoDaddy are good. The IRS website is good if you just want to get an employee identification number. The patent and trademark office, it's called the Treasury Express system. You can register a trademark with them. You don't have to go through a lawyer. Getting a URL, pretty easy through GoDaddy or any one of 100 other ones. There's a lot of business banks that cater to e-commerce startups. You want to make sure you have a payment system and a credit card system as well, and there's plenty of them out there. So example of AI prompt for legal or overhead: what's the best corporate structure to incorporate a small business that sells consumer goods with less than 3 owners? Then you'll spit out. At this point, it doesn't really matter what state you incorporate in. It used to be really favorable to do it in Delaware, which I still usually do, but most states have, pretty easy business laws for startups. So, a good start would be like in the state of Maryland. They have a very good system, express business system. You just go on their website, and I've done some ones out of Maryland, state of Maryland as well. You could also ask them, create a basic employment agreement for full-time employee operating in the state of Maryland. Again, it doesn't replace a lawyer, but it gives you a pretty tangible document that you can use as a basis. Another prompt I did, what are some highly recommended internet business banks, credit card payment companies that service small businesses? Again, these prompts will give you a lot of information. So sales and production, again, sales channels, where are you going to sell the product? Amazon's always a real good first step. One of my more recent sporting goods company, we rode Amazon for about 5 years before we reached a scale where we could get into Dick's and a few other sporting goods companies. But Amazon, the bottom of the Amazon website has a huge a grid of tutorials and how to do things, and it's worth spending an hour looking at all those things. It'll give you all a lot of information. Shopify is another one. They have scores of videos about how to set up on Shopify, how to look at products, and again, it's worth spending time on. Etsy's, if you have more small homemade type goods, Etsy's a really good site for selling. Wish and eBay are also excellent. If you need inventory control, warehousing, shipping, and domestic, international, there ShipStation, ShipBob, Zoho are all really good inventory and shipping management companies, very easy to set up. These are all ones I've used in the past too, and I've had good experiences with all of them. So with the explosive growth in e-commerce, you got to understand your target audience. You got to, different platforms have, again, Etsy would be different, Shopify would be different, Amazon, they're all a little different with your target audience. So it'd be good to dig into who they are and where they prefer to shop. They all have, different platforms have varying fee structures. They're all, for a startup, they're all pretty reasonable to get started. Ease of use, which personally, if your technical skills are diminished, then that would be an important one. Again, as you grow, like if, for example, my sporting goods business I have, we still sell a lot on Amazon, but we sort of outgrew them, and it took about 5 years. So Amazon could be your only sales channel, or Etsy, but if you do scale it, you have to look at what other sort of sales channels might help scale your growth. And again, pretty much everyone has the platform's capabilities with mobile now. It's what they have to do to compete. And then security and trust, again, we've never really had any issues, but the problems are out there. You got to look at those as well. So just, what I call the big three, and, there's other ones, but, Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla, high visibility, massive audience. They have what they call fulfillment by Amazon, where you just send them the product and they fulfill it and send it out when there's sales. They have global shipping options. Some of the cons of Amazon is intense competition. People can see what you're selling and then duplicate your product. That's happened to me in the past. And Amazon's pretty good about fighting that, but it's a hassle. As you become more entrenched with them, their fees get higher, and they are the brand. So you can't, not you can't, but it's hard to really stand out as a brand on Amazon. Shopify, which again is another great system. You customize the templates. They have integrated payments, good app ecosystem. Everyone uses Shopify. They have monthly fees. They're pretty expensive, transaction fees, unless you use Shopify payments. And it takes a little technical knowledge. I would say I'm not super technical, and I didn't have any problem with it, but it takes a little time. Etsy is really good for a niche audience, although it's growing so big. It's a huge niche now. Very supportive community, good mobile app for sellers. Again, listing fees, transaction fees, and their product lines are more handmade, vintage type items, although they're expanding that a little bit. Facebook Marketplace, hugely growing. A lot of people use it now. No fees, local audience, easy to use, quick sales. I'm sure a lot of you have bought off Facebook Marketplace. With that, though, you have less security, a lot of reliance on local demand, local pickup, and you can ship with them, but it usually does kind of limit the reach for the online businesses. Instagram's another one, very huge growing market, visual appeal. Tied it, Instagram, you can tie into a Shopify website where people can order. But again, with Instagram, you're limited to the Instagram audience. And really, what's the key with Instagram is influencers and active social media management. And companies like Poshmark, which can be secondhand goods, again, a niche audience, fashion items, and competing in the fashion space. So all sales channels, these are the online platforms I've used in the past and had good success with, and they're all worth looking at. Other examples, Swappa, which is, selling or used tech. Nextdoor, you can do. Craigslist has been around forever and has been successful. So all these are other examples of, pretty professional online platforms that are worth looking at. So in sales production, you would also need accounting systems, prototyping, product sourcing, returns management, and all these companies I've had. Alibaba is another one of those websites that's worth spending a few hours digging through. There's a lot of junk in there, but there's a lot of good material too. You just sort of have to weed through it and look at the experience ratings and the reviews of people. I've sourced a lot of products on Alibaba very successfully. There's prototyping labs at Maryland and other places like Terrapin Works, and accounting systems like Xero and QuickBooks are, pretty much all you need to get started. As you grow, QuickBooks will scale with you to a pretty good size. I mean, I've had companies that have done $7, $8, $9 million, and we still use QuickBooks, so it'll scale pretty well with you. Logo, Fiverr, 99 Designs. If you can do logos on AI, really easy, for free. Websites, GoDaddy's or Squarespace are, the ones I've used in the past. The social media, if you need help, Upwork. A lot of my students, people have started businesses, they get people from Upwork, and that's been very helpful. And the SEO marketing, which is something you need to learn about, with Facebook, with Instagram, with Google, again, that's important to get started on. So fundraising, which is always a difficult part, but the first step always is, is there a way you can do it yourself? You or your family or your founders and team members try to put money together to get a startup going. You do risk your capital, but you keep all the equity. And if you grow, then investors like to see that you put something into the business, or what we call skin in the game. I always say, friends and family would be another first step. People are usually willing to help. I always suggest structuring it as a loan. And again, you can use AI as an agent to write a promissory note agreement, but written agreements are strongly suggested. Crowdfunding, again, Kickstarter, GoFundMe, places like that, Circle Up, are, they're good for unique projects or art projects, and, or kind of unique consumer goods. It takes time, and sometimes you might need a professional to help you with videos and things like that. But again, these websites are all have tutorials and are all, worth spending some time and money on. But they are, a good sales channel for the right product. And then there's also incubators like Y Combinator, it's, Techstars, 500 Startups. They're very competitive to get into and primarily lean on high tech stuff, but they do consumer products as well. Usually, if you get in, you get a small amount of money from them, and they take some equity in the company. But there's a lot of local, regional, and national options, again, all worth looking at. And then, less recommended, but also out there because it's a higher risk capital, loans, credit cards, or debt. There's companies that do these as well, Circle Up, Fundable, Cabbage. Usually have to have some operating and sales history. Credit cards, I don't recommend trying to start a business with a credit card unless you're purchasing, small amount of inventory just to get started. And the online options to fast capital, they tend to have pretty high interest rates. So unless you can turn your inventory and are desperate, that's not the best option, but the options are out there. And then angel and seed investing, if the idea is compelling enough, you might get some angels to be interested in that. They will want equity and they'll want you to cede some control. And in their mind, they want what we call a 5x, 5 times the return is expected. So if you really can't prove that to someone, then that's going to be a tough road. But angels are out there, so you never know. So some real examples. This is Grip Boost, which was a Maryland invention that myself and Matt Furstenberg, who was the starting tight end on the football team in 2013, we originally invented a gel in the complex fluids lab that recoats the tackiness of football gloves. And we sold it on Amazon. And after a few years, Matt, he played in the NFL for a while, and he decided we wanted to do our own brand of football gloves, using the technology we got out of Maryland and the tacky gloves. And, now we have probably 75 NFL players wearing our gloves. We're in Dick's and Hibbert's and a lot of different sporting goods stores, and a company that do about $10 million in sales this year. And, but again, we've been at it for 12 years, and we used almost every tool that I've represented here. We used 99 Designs to come up with our name and our logo. We used Squarespace to do our website. We used Shopify to do our sales channels. So those are all good. And a more current example coming again out of the labs at the University of Maryland is a high-end women's skin cream using methylene blue as its base, a Maryland invention. They have, multi-channel sales, probably 20 SKUs, a very popular women's skin cream. And again, when Dr. Can Cow came to me, I gave her all these tools, and, she, I think, got her son to help her and hired a CEO, and they used a lot of these tools that I've outlined here to get their company up and running. It's been a very successful company. And on top of all my teachings here for the last, I'm not doing it currently, but for the last 3 years, I was the general manager of the men's basketball team. I ran their name, image, and likeness program where we compensate athletes. So again, I used I used the trademark, the T system with the patent and trademark office. Used GoDaddy to come up with a website and a URL. We got logos done on 99 Designs. So I used all these tools that I'm preaching now. We also gave the athletes a bunch of different tools to do personal brand development. We created marketing opportunities, and we were doing social media marketing. So it was a fun project to do, and very successful, again, using all these tools that I've outlined here. And then a few other examples. I think originally when I approached Ala in 2018 or 19, I was inspired because my older son Jackson started a company that Gator Feet that had golf bag replacement parts. And I watched how he used all these tools to start his business. I didn't even tell him to do it. He was just doing it himself. And I'm like, wow, you got this thing up and running in like 2 days for $1,000. And, when I first started my business in the 90s, it would take months and months to, do the same thing he did in a few days. So it's sort of inspired me. And then my younger son started he doesn't like raisins, so he started a no raisins trail mix. And again, using the stuff Jackson outlined to him, he got it launched in 3 days with, less than a $2,000 investment because he had inventory. And, he did $5,400 in sales in his first year. So in the Geller family, we practice what we preach here. So, the power of AI, again, a lot of different AI agents out there, but, it's worth playing around, develop a branding plan for high-end secondhand purses. Compare the pros and cons of the best AI website creation tools. I even used it to help with this presentation. I ran this presentation through AI to make sure that things were still relevant. And, you'll come up with a lot of information. Again, it's not perfect information, but it's always a good way to start. So again, just the key tool summary of formation, payments, sales channels, material handling, product sourcing, marketing, and fundraising, all listed here. Most have been tried by me and pretty much successful with most of them. So it's a lot to digest, but again, it's proven methods. It should really get people, give you a good basis to get started. And with that, I'll take if there's any questions. Ala?
Thank you so much, Harry. This has been such a wonderful update. Lots to learn. So we have some questions here. So the question from the same person, so there are two questions. One is, I would like to know step-by-step procedures to launch an e-commerce business. What should I do first? Thank you.
So, depending on what your e-commerce business is, you should determine what the product is and try to come up with a crude prototype if you can. And then, get it out in the marketplace where you're talking to people that, aren't your husband, wife, girlfriend, roommate, and see if they'd be interested in something like this. I mean, that's the first thing I would do is, again, try to get a crude prototype or, drawing or, whatever, a mock-up, and just say, this is something I'm interested in creating. Is this something you would be interested in? Then follow the steps that I've outlined.
Yeah, another way to do customer discovery would be through the regional I-Core program here at UMD. If you want a more formal way of, going about it, if you want more training and such. The next question, what are the key requirements to launch within 3 days?
Again, going back to the slides, really, covering, there's 8 or 10 things you have to cover, including incorporation, name, logo, website, things like that. So, those are the key tenets to get started. But again, before you spend even any money, I would try to, do a mock-up and get it out into the marketplace. Even if you can talk to 25 or 50 people just to see if there's any interest in this at all. Unless you're completely wedded to the idea, and I know people sometimes do it that way as well. So.
Thank you. Next question. If you have an idea for an electronic device, what are the options to build the instrument, especially given the current shift in politics with tariffs that makes it difficult to go and get it manufactured in China?
Well, I mean, it depends on what the product is, because, some are tariffed and some aren't. And, you can still go on Alibaba and, see if there's something similar to what you're trying to develop, and, see if they'll usually send you, for a small amount of money, they'll send you sample products. So, that I wouldn't worry too much about the tariffs right now because it's not on everything. They come and go. My glove business, we're getting hit with tariffs a little bit. We've that's been going on for a while, so we factor that into our price. But you can't let something like that get in the way. But it really would depend on what the technology is.
Yep. Then Amy asked a question that you later answered in the presentation.
Okay.
Well, here's a kind of big question here that probably merits its own workshop. How do you decide on what problem to solve, and how do you identify the need?
Yeah, believe me. Uh, I wish I had the answer to that. It depends on what you're interested in solving. Like, for example, with my glove business, there was plenty of other companies out there making football gloves. We just felt using some of the Maryland technology that we could do it better. And it just because you think you can do it better doesn't mean you can do it better. But we, over the 12 years we've been in business, we have proven that we can do it better. I mean, the best receivers in the NFL wear our gloves, and we don't pay them to wear them. They wear them because they're paid to catch footballs, and these help them do that. So the problem we solved there was when I said bigger, better, faster, cheaper, we were better. My son who did no raisins trail mix, I mean, he solved the problem. It's a micro problem, but certain people hate raisins. And it was a bigger problem when he first said it to me. I was like, who in the world was ever going to buy this? But, he proved me wrong on that. But I don't always know the answers to everything either. But, starts with something you would think would be interested. There's no, stock answer to that other than what are you interested in? Is this a problem that, could be solved or needs to be solved?
Yeah.
Like Hemi wanted to say something about, or you say something about
So,
MII.
so Hamey mentioned MII, and it's it's a good suggestion. So MII, for those who are full-time researchers at UMD or graduate students working on a sponsored research program. Harry, do you want to mention MII as a potential to do technology validation?
Well, I mean, you know more about MII than I do, so.
Right, yeah,
Although I
right.
do.
So if you have if you developed an innovation that was developed with university equipment, sponsored research money, and so to develop your prototype and test it, Maryland Innovation Initiative could be a way to actually pay for that. It gives you $130,000 and no overhead to develop a prototype or test your technology. So if you're interested, please send me an email and we can talk. January 15th is the next deadline to apply. So yeah, thank you, Hammy, for mentioning that.
Yeah. I would say so from my experience, and I guess if you're listening to me, you're probably somewhat involved with University of Maryland somehow, but they and Allah is very helpful but they are very helpful and out there if you really want to start a business. I highly recommend looking at any sort of support they can give you. It's been great for me.
Yeah. Here's one more question. Would you support for a SaaS service business using AI technology as a startup?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. So what are you thinking about doing that's unique to the large swath of AI? Because a lot of people are running to AI right now, and there's a lot of good options out there. So I think your first step would be, okay, what I'm thinking of creating, is it already out there? And then if it is already out there, what's good and what's not good about it? And what's not good about it is the direction you should take to try to make it better. But using I originally framed this presentation, using e-commerce just because it's things I knew, but you could start I started a direct marketing agency using these steps. You can start a SaaS company using these steps. It's um, pretty much generic for any kind of business.
Yeah, absolutely. Also wanted to mention that Harry is an entrepreneur here at Ventures. So those of you who are faculty staff at the University of Maryland College Park, you can schedule time with Harry for next week, for next Tuesday, if you'd like one-on-one advice as
Usually
well.
Tuesdays are my day, and I'm always happy to help anyone. I love business, and do this for my pleasure, but I've been at it since 2009 and I love it and always happy to help people.
Yeah, and Harry helped a lot of businesses up and run in. By the way, Harry, did you see that Blueline launched the last product with the Times Square ad?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, she
That's
sent me a
amazing.
sample of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why it's so good.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So next stop is I told them next stop is Super Bowl ad.
Yeah, that's a heavy lift, but I hope so.
Yes. So if you have anybody has any other questions or requests, or like I said, I can provide you with the link to sign up with Harry to meet one-on-one, if you would like to do that.
Yeah, and feel free to share this with anyone who wants it.
Okay, yeah. So I will post this presentation online, not presentation, I'll post the video of this presentation on our Startup PMD YouTube channel. If you're watching it, please like and share, and happy to share slides with you if you send me an email. But wanted to thank Harry for your time. Always great to have this. This became a traditional workshop with an annual update. Always lots of very helpful information, almost a new presentation every time.
Yeah, I'm going to update it again tonight. Send it to the kids and see what else they can come up with.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good luck to everyone. Look forward to hearing from people.
Thanks.
Take care.